Welcome back, everybody. Doug Burson here. And I've had enough calls the last week from people saying that they heard things like there's no tax on tips now, or tax on overtime was done away with, or the IRS was done away with, or what about the new Trump tax plan? That I felt the need to make this video and set the record straight. So stay with me. I'm going to explain all that, and then I'm going to tell you what I think on where this is all going. Okay, to set the record straight, there are no new tax plans yet. No new tax changes. Yes, there has been some stuff going back and forth on tariffs, but with taxes, nothing has changed yet. So what does that mean? If you've heard there's no tax on tips, that's not true. If you've heard there's no tax on overtime, that's not true. If you've heard there's a new Trump tax plan, not that it's passed yet. And so one of the things I think we really need to be careful with is just be careful with who you're listening to. Just because it's on the internet doesn't make it true. I know I'm on the internet, and if you find videos like this helpful, please go ahead and subscribe, because I'm going to let you know when it really is true. So what do we know right now? Well, what we know right now is that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is set to expire the end of this year. We also know that there's a very big appetite within the Republican Party to get that extended. The problem is, and that's why we have to be careful with this, all these rumors we hear going around about this is going to happen and that's going to happen. The thing is, there is a very slim margin in Congress, and in order to pass a tax bill, a true bill, they need 60 votes. They only have 53. So in order to overcome 60, there would have to be a lot of compromises. So right away, you know, a lot of the stuff that you're hearing probably can't happen. Now, it doesn't mean none of it can happen. Some of it probably will. The part that's going to be really interesting over the next few months, however long it takes this year, is as we go through the process of reconciliation, because that's what they're going to have to do. At least that's what I think is going to have to be done. And so in order to do that, that means things have to fit in a budget. That changes things. So that means if we're going to keep something that's in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, for instance, qualified business income deduction, or the higher tax brackets, or the larger itemized deduction, we may have to give something else up to make it balance. Now, I know there's a lot of talk with tariffs, and maybe some of that can be filled in. At this point, we don't really know how that's all going to play out. We're going to have to wait and see, so I'm not going to wager on whether it will or it won't. What I'm going to tell you is if it does, I will let you know. So once again, subscribe, and I'll give you what's really going on. Things that I think will happen. I think that we will probably get a lot of what the current law is extended. That's what I think we can safely bet on. I think the tax brackets will probably stay very similar. I think that the standard deduction will stay very similar. One thing that I think there's an appetite for is potentially the SALT tax. Right now it's capped at $10,000 on the itemized deductions. There's a lot of talk on that. So that's one that I think could potentially get worked in there. Will things like tips and overtime? I don't know. I see a lot of fraud problems with that. If you start working in overtime, how many people are going to change their pay scale so they can get paid overtime? Same with tips, if there's any way possible. So if they're going to do stuff like that, they'd have to put caps and guardrails on. Sometimes they don't think about those things. And so I don't know if that'll happen, but there could be a lot of problems or opportunities. If they give it to us, then we want to take advantage of that too. So I'm not against that either per se. But my main purpose of this video is just to slow it down. Slow down. Don't get too excited about what you hear out there. I learned a long time ago, until they sign that piece of paper, when that bill gets signed, until then, anything can happen. So don't start making plans based on what you've been hearing out there. That's all I got. It's tax season. I'm busy. I just really wanted to get this out for you guys. If something legitimate happens, once again, subscribe. If something legitimate happens, I promise you, I will let you know. I will get it out there, and I'm watching out for you. Talk to you soon.